Just now, the most explosive disclosure in the history of modern times has just shook the foundations of the financial world. According to a report that was leaked from within the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, the digital asset that was formerly considered to be nothing more than another cryptocurrency has been formally declared as the new global reserve asset. According to traders and crypto fans, this is not a rumor that is going about them. There has been a significant change in the global financial system, which marks the beginning of a new monetary age and the end of the supremacy of the United States dollar. The paper argues that XRP will serve as the backbone of a new financial system that is designed to stabilize international trade, provide liquidity for poor nations, and facilitate emergency economic recovery operations. These goals are all mentioned in the report. To add insult to injury, if you think that this is too huge to be real, you are not prepared. In light of the fact that the minimum target value for XRP under this scheme is $100,000 per coin, the following is what comes next. The idea to include digital bridge assets into the global bailout infrastructure is outlined in the document, which is said to have been distributed among high-ranking officials from the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. The logic is straightforward, but it goes against the grain. It is too slow, too expensive, and too dependent on the U.S. currency for the current cross-border systems to be considered adequate. XRP, on the other hand, has the ability to settle any transaction in a matter of seconds, regardless of whether it is between different banks, governments, or businesses. Additionally, it has a low cost and does not rely on any centralized intermediaries. In the research, XRP is portrayed as the universal liquidity SU, ARTS for international settlements. It is intended to replace the antiquated SWIFT system and make it possible to instantly reallocate wealth across international state boundaries. Some people are referring to it as the single largest monetary upgrade in the history of the globe. Supposedly, leaked correspondence show economists from the International Monetary Fund discussing how the dependence of the globe on the United States currency has become a systemic problem. As a result of inflation, sanctions, and debt, the economy of the entire world has become shaky. What is the solution that has been suggested? It is recommended that the role of the dollar as a global reserve be replaced with a decentralized neutral digital asset that is capable of connecting all currencies. Undoubtedly, XRP is an excellent example of this. This latest leak ties those negotiations directly to XRP, citing it precisely as the liquidity standard for the future global financial system. Public IMF documents about digital asset integration have been circulating online for months. But this new leak ties those discussions directly to XRP. There has been a surge in social media. There have been tweets that have surfaced from notable experts and financial insiders stating that they expected this move years ago to be accurate. Ripple's continued ties with central banks, its collaboration with the Bank for International Settlements, and its membership in the International Monetary Fund's Digital Currency Working Group are some of the reasons that some of them are supporting the cryptocurrency. When everything is taken into consideration, it is obvious that Ripple's entire plan was leading up to this particular moment. During the time that the general public was preoccupied with price drops and legal proceedings, Ripple was quietly constructing the foundation for the next financier system behind the scenes. The aim of $100,000 is not merely a hoax, rather it is a figure that has been determined based on the requirements for liquidity, the amount of daily. It has been argued by analysts that in order to supply sufficient liquidity to the banks of the world, the value of the token would need to be far greater than it is at the moment. If the overall market cap of XRP were to reach $100,000, it would surpass the total market cap of all other assets combined, thereby establishing it as the ultimate reserve instrument. The currency is liquid, international, and supported by usage all over the world rather than just the economy of a single nation. There are stories that make the assertion that certain central banks have already begun to accumulate XRP in a covert manner by utilizing custodial intermediates. According to the data on the blockchain, there are massive coordinated transfers of XRP between unidentified institutional wallets. This certainly suggests at some early stage positioning when it comes to the cryptocurrency. In the event that this is the case, it would imply that governments are actively working ahead of the rest of the globe in order to secure liquidity before the International Monetary Fund and the Globe Bank even make their combined announcement. There is a possibility that the demand may skyrocket to an extent that has never been witnessed before in the cryptocurrency market once that news becomes official. A neutral settlement layer is something that the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has been openly discussing, which is something that is very alarming. The requirement of a global financial reset, one that really levels the playing field across nations, has been alluded to in public statements made by Christine Lagarde, Kristalina Georgieva, and other influential figures around the world. Something like XRP, which is a decentralized bridge asset, would be an excellent fit for that objective. Additionally, the International Monetary Fund does not want another nation to be in charge of the world's reserve currency. A trustless neutral system is exactly what they are looking for, and XRP is able to supply them with that. Consequently, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, is said to have detailed a phased implementation plan in the study that was leaked. Experimenting with XRP as a settlement mechanism for special drawing rights, which are the synthetic reserve currency used by the International Monetary Fund, IMF, for worldwide loans, is the first phase of the project. Therefore, during the second phase, XRP will be incorporated into the emergency liquidity initiatives of the World Bank. This will make it possible for developing nations to receive assistance in a digital format that is reliable. When we reach the third phase, things begin to move in a different direction. The complete transfer of all intergovernmental settlements onto the distributed ledger of XRP, which will effectively replace fiat currency used in international currency transactions. Over the course of this transformation, the whole global financial system would be completely digitized, with XRP acting as the connecting mechanism between all national currencies. Consider the implications of this. In the event that a country takes out a loan from the Foreign Monetary Fund, IMF, settles its foreign debt, or engages in commercial transactions, XRP would serve as the universal settlement medium. To put it another way, it would be the equivalent of replacing the plumbing of the entire financial world with a network that is not only faster but also cheaper and much more efficient. You no longer have to wait 3 business days for a transaction that takes place across international borders. You no longer have to worry about the never-ending fees, bottlenecks in currency conversion, or shortages of funds. In the realm of XRP, everything happens in real time. Skeptics continue to assert that the news is either manufactured or misunderstood, despite the growing excitement. Critics, on the other hand, are unable to provide an explanation for Ripple's expanding collaborations with central banks all over the world, or for the reason that international organizations such as the World Economic Forum continue to make reference to interoperable digital liquidity solutions in their white papers. The fact that Ripple has been seated at the same tables as these organizations for a number of years is not a coincidence. There was never any intention for Ripple's technology to be a specialized crypto experiment. Every step of the way, it was intended to become the cornerstone of international finance. Therefore, the change will not take place overnight. Nonetheless, you should be aware that the gears are already spinning. There have been rumors that a number of financial institutions are conducting tests behind closed doors to evaluate IMF-linked settlement systems that make use of XRP. According to those with knowledge of the situation, the shift might be finished by the year 2030, which is in harmony with the objectives of the United Nations Digital Transformation. The story that XRP will eventually replace the dollar is no longer merely a matter of speculation. It is currently a component of a coordinated push toward the globalization of digital technology. To be completely honest, this news should serve as a wake-up call for the typical investor. You are aware that the most powerful financial institutions in the world are making preparations for a future in which XRP will be vital. In spite of this, retail holders continue to be mainly clueless. You are out of your mind if you believe that you have enough time to wait. It will be too late to purchase XRP at prices that are acceptable once the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank have publicly confirmed its role. Because of this, the leak is significant, mainly due to the fact that it provides regular people with a small opportunity to position themselves before the most significant financial reset in the history of humanity takes place. All things considered, the repercussions are very astounding. At a price of $100,000, XRP represents more than just a life-changing riches. It means a complete rethinking of the power systems that exist on a global scale. No single nation will be able to exert control over the movement of money for the very first time. On the other hand, a decentralized asset that is not restricted by borders would stand at the core of the global economy. It is believed that the decision made by the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank will bring about the end of monetary monopolies and the beginning of financial equality